Alrighty, folks, we are here today with the first day that the update version 1.0 is out. Wanted to talk about some meta changes that potentially coming. You've probably seen some other creators like Pinzo and Obey the Papaya who have walked through the full patch notes, talked about all the aspects. A lot of this stuff we kind of knew was coming. We got a lot of leaks ahead of time. So, not too much of this is expected. It is a lot of changes, but we're not going to walk through all of them today. I just want to talk about the potential meta shifts that we're going to see and what that could mean going forward. We did a version 1. Or version 0.19.1 updated hero tier list a while ago. Gonna do one for version 1.0, but we're gonna play on it for like a week-ish before we really see how the heroes are kind of stacking up against each other. So look for that in about a week, probably, maybe a little bit longer, depending on how the play testing goes. And we also recently did the 100 subscriber special where we tier listed all of the items in the game. There have been some item changes, so there will be some shifts coming from that, but you can see those videos and see how the meta was. I don't think this patch is very significant in shifting the meta, but we'll know here in a little bit. So first things first, the elephant in the room, Zinx. It's hard to tell how strong Zinx is going to be. Check out this video, this Zinx ability overview video. I'll link it in the description if you want to see some gameplay of her, see all of her abilities in action. My predictions would be that, they are not going to release a hero that's undertuned. We've seen Terra recently and stuff that, they're releasing heroes that are going to be overtuned on purpose because they want people to play them, they want people to be excited for them. So I doubt she comes out weak, but, and she probably does receive some nerfs in the following patches, but hard to tell how big of an impact she's going to have as kind of our third healer / shielder with Muriel and Narbash. I think she will be an impactful support right off the bat. Pretty strong ability set, but check out this video if you want to see more about her. We're not really going to focus too much on making predictions on her because it's really hard to say. Only thing I would say is she's probably going to be strong when she comes out. She's got a great kit and is going to be impactful for the meta. Now coming through here, there's a lot of, there's skins, there's, some UI changes, there's some, some map graphics changes and stuff like that. Some stuff to the callout system that's nice, the changing of the mini-map and all that stuff, but none of that's really meta shifting. What we're here to talk about is the actual balance changes today and give some predictions going forward into this patch. Some simple stuff like jungle minions, health and armor, I don't think that's going to be too big of a deal. Hero changes, we will just briefly go through these hero changes and mention some stuff, but most of them are very insignificant, very small balances here, guys. Not like massively meta shifting stuff going on, but we'll go through them real quick and just discuss if it was kind of a nerf or a buff. Argus, slight cooldown decrease, pretty insignificant buff. Aurora is one of the ones that's getting hit harder. She's getting a change to her glide, her glacial charge, where the cooldown starts when the wall actually goes down versus when she does the glide itself. So the cooldowns are decreased here, but since the timer on the cooldown doesn't start until the wall drops, it's going to make it a lot longer before she actually can get it back up again. And then pretty significant damage reduction across her ult with a little bit longer cooldown. So do expect to see less Aurora at the top ranks because of the wall nerf and the damage nerf, but still going to be good. Not like a detrimental nerf to her kit or anything. Countess, slight mana changes, really unimpactful. Crunch, slight health and armor changes, probably completely unimpactful. Decker, slight damage nerfs, damage decrease, cooldown increase on her ult. at early ranks. Again, not really impactful, just a little bit less damage coming out of Decker. Not viable in mid anymore, probably, for you guys who are playing her in mid. Drongo getting his damage tuned down, I would say probably a somewhat significant amount, especially on the ult. 40 less damage at max rank with a longer cooldown at early ranks and everything. Drongo is still probably going to be strong in the meta. He's still going to outcompete a lot of carries, so I don't expect this to actually take him out or anything. Fang Mao getting some mana and health changes and some extra damage on his hamstring. They said that this was to make him more viable in jungle and improve his clear. We'll see if that's really comes to fruition or anything. I don't think a lot of people are picking Fang Mao, but if you are good with Fang Mao, you're still picking him, so this isn't really going to impact him that much. The faster jungle clear may make him more viable though, so we'll see how that pans out. Gadget and Gideon both getting some changes, mainly to just how their damage comes out. Gadget getting more nerfs in the damage department, less scaling on the sticky mine, less damage from the gate, longer cooldowns on the Seek and Destroy, and it's spreading it across 10 ticks instead of 9 ticks, so armor is going to be more effective against it, but longer cooldown on it as well, and then the dome, less overall damage and armor shred, so definitely tuning the damage down on Gadget quite a bit. That probably will make her picked less. It's hard to say. She's still just very impactful. Gideon, kind of similar how they're changing the black hole to do, spreading the damage across more ticks, so armor is going to be more effective against it. But overall, they're trying to say that it's around the same amount of damage coming out, so we'll see. It probably is the same amount of damage coming out. It's just spreading it across more ticks means, it's harder to get through people's armor. Greystone, some slight buffs, particularly to his leap ability here. We've got more cooldown being refunded when he hits someone with it, so they're wanting people to use it more aggressively, and they're also increasing the radius of it by 8%, so not sure if people will still be... if in the situations you're using it aggressively, you're using it aggressively anyway, and then most of the time you're using it to escape or chase or whatever you're doing, so don't see that being a big change. A little bit longer ult cooldown is welcome. You see that on a lot of heroes in this patch. Grim, pretty minor nerfs across the board for him. Damage decrease on the displacement, assault mode slow decrease, and shorter shield on his little shield ability. So, Grim has been strong. This is, I guess, the third patch in a row he's been nerfed, so they're not liking how strong Grim still is. He is pretty oppressive in lane, so I get it, but may see less of him. You've already been seeing less of him since the most recent nerfs to him, so Howitzer, some really minor changes. They gave him, 3 armor at the beginning of the game, woohoo. And then the landmine damage is getting adjusted around a little bit. Main change is going to be the slow grenade minefield is getting stronger slows by 5% across the board here. So, that's nice. It didn't feel like it was slowing people down very much, especially at level 1, so this will be nice for a little bit more crowd control on him. Kalari with the damage increase at level 1 on his ult, but same damage at max level, so not a big deal, whatever. Chimera. Now, Chimera is the second one after Aurora that I would say is receiving some actual, and Gadget for that matter, that's receiving some significant changes. He's getting buffed for the late game is basically what they're saying. They're giving him more health growth. It'll be not that much. More armor growth, which will be not that much by the end of the game. The unleashed damage scaling is changing around a little bit, but it's pretty insignificant. But the invigorate and the ambush, so his cleanse and his leap, are both getting shorter cooldowns. The cleanse by 2 seconds and the leap by 1 second at the end of the game. And the cleanse is also getting better max health healing, so they want him to be more survivable late game. I already thought Chimera was pretty strong in general, and this is going to be a good buff to his late game without really hurting him in the early game, so It's probably, I mean, he was already an attractive pick, so I see more people, especially the people that are already playing him, having even better success with him. Probably makes good use of some of the item changes as well, so definitely look out for Chimera. We'll see if this actually makes a difference, but I do think he's going to be a little bit stronger, even though he was already quite strong, I would say. So we'll see. Kira getting some minor changes, some health adjustments and attack speed adjustments. Damage stacks decreasing on her little Dusk ability, which is good because that did feel kind of oppressive early game. But the main thing is the ult getting a huge damage upgrade at max level and at middle level, and better scaling as well, which Kira really needed. Her ult kind of did nothing most of the time, so maybe her ult will at least do something late game, which would be great. I mean, 360% power scaling is quite a lot, so already a pretty strong carry overall, so her having a little better in-game presence will be nice. Bellica receiving some minor damage boosts. You're probably still not playing Bellica. She has a lot of competition at the mid lane role, so it is what it is. We'll see if this probably just brings her a little bit closer to the rest of the pack, which is really the theme for most of these hero balances. They didn't go crazy on any of them. Morrigesh receiving some speed adjustments with her speed up ability and her base movement speed, so again, like I said, really minor changes. Murdoch, really minor changes. I mean, this isn't affecting anything. Muriel, slightly less damage on her slowdown ability. Like I said, not impactful. Phase, ability haste, bonus from her ult increasing, by 5. Again, not really impactful. Rampage is receiving some decent buffs. They're changing around the Rumble ability to where it's got less physical scaling, but they're adding 6% of your built health as scaling, which is really nice, and they're increasing the radius by 8%, like they did for the leap from Greystone, so, probably does make his clear a little bit faster, which he needed, and then also on his ult, adding some extra health, 50 at mid-level and 100 at max level for his survivability when he goes into his ult. I don't think this brings Rampage up to any sort of threat level, but I guess if you're a fan of Rampage and you're playing him, you're happy to see this. We'll see if that health scaling actually affects his clear a lot. That'll be interesting. Revenant, again, really minor changes. You don't have to worry about stuff. I mean, 90% of these hero changes are not impactful, guys. They're so slight. I mean, look at how slight these changes are. Fourth shot missing health damage increased from 4.5 to 5%. These are not impactful changes, so you don't have to worry about all this stuff that much. Richter and Sevrog both receiving attack speed bonuses. Okay, whatever. Now the next one here with Terra is pretty impactful. This is probably, right up there with Aurora, Chimera, and Gadget as the most impactful change. Terra, has been strong since release, very oppressive in lane. She's getting big decreases in damage on her Ruthless Assault, the little 2 or 3 swing ability, which is good. I like to see it clear minions a little slower, and the true damage on the Empowered Strike can be hard to deal with in lane, so that's good. But the main thing is the Wild Rush. If you check out that spreadsheet I did on Terra and how to maximize the Wild Rush damage, you can see that it is just an insane ability. It was very overtuned and has been since she was released. They are decreasing the damage quite a bit, 20 at first level and then 60 at max level for the base damage, and then also decreasing the scaling 5% when uncharged and 25% when charged. So that is a huge reduction in the damage with a mana cost increase coming as well. That should help how strong this ability was at just bullying your offlaner. Shield duration decreased from 4 to 3.5 seconds as well, so ability just overall taking a huge nerf, which is good. It was way too strong. I mean, this was the ability that made Terra so strong, so probably see less Terra oppression, but the people that have already been playing her and are good with her are still going to be good with her, so it is what it is. Cooldown receiving a little bit longer for the ult, so, you know, big change right up there, you know, probably more impactful than the Chimera and gadget changes overall, because Terra is such a big threat in the meta. You probably are still going to be seeing her banned, unless the like Zinx is just so OP that people gotta ban her, but you'll probably still see her banned a lot in your ranked games. Back to some really insignificant changes. Twin Blast with a little bit of power growth, you know, yeah, whatever, that's fine. Wraith with a little bit of extra attack speed growth, armor growth, and his knock getting, you know, a little bit extra damage. 5 across the board is not really impactful. And then finally Zarus with his ult getting just a slightly longer cooldown, 5 seconds, you know, not that really impactful in late game. So that's all the hero changes. Like I said, very minor overall. There's going to be a little bit more impact from these item changes, I think, but we'll go through them real quick like we did those and just, you know, discuss the important ones. The Titan Crest and Goliath Crest evolving a little sooner is nice. Just kind of brings it in line with some of the other crest options. Get it online faster, which is good. Brutalix with a shorter cooldown, and then Epoch with a longer cooldown, just balancing out some of the starter items. A lot of people were taking the stasis on Epic, so they're trying to, you know, nerf it down a little bit, and pretty much no one was taking Brutalix, so they're shortening the cooldown a little bit, make them more attractive. Witchstalker, you know, again, cooldown decrease, and then the Liberator, a little bit less physical power scaling for the shield, so just kind of balancing out some of the starter items, not too big of a deal. Now coming into the carry items, again, most of these item changes are pretty insignificant, but some of them may stack together to make some changes. Absolution getting more magical armor, you know, that's not really a big deal. Very few people are building Absolution anyway. But here's two that I wanted to talk about, Ashbringer and Nuclear Round. So Ashbringer is getting a major shift away from power and haste, less haste as well, but it's picking up 30 attack speed. So this will be an interesting option for your ability-based carries that you want to build attack speed. You can maybe get all your attack speed from this item for the most part, which, you know, is good because Nuclear Rounds, which are definitely building on ability carries, is getting the attack speed removed. 20% attack speed removed completely, and the mana removed in favor of 5 more physical power and 15 ability haste, so with 100 less gold cost. So the Ashbringer Nuclear Rounds combo may be something that can help out ability carries some. You know, I'm thinking Twin Blast and Drongo, maybe some other ones if you'd like to build ability. Probably not Revenant, but maybe Revenant. You know, it's, you know, we'll have to see, but we'll talk about that again at the end. I think that's an interesting mix-up here. You know, comboing with Resolution. Resolution is getting 5% extra attack speed, so interesting 3-item combo there. We'll discuss it briefly at the end as well. Sky Splitter getting a slight decrease in damage, you know. I mean, this actually probably will make a difference, but, you know, people are still building Sky Splitter. Stormbreaker cost increase. You know, everybody was liking to build Stormbreaker early, so that makes sense. Vanquisher, just a, you know, 1 pin difference, so not a big deal there. Coming down the assassin items, you know, cost decrease, not a big deal. Envy, you know, the silence was pretty strong, so I understand the longer cooldown, but not that big of a deal. Infernum, though, Infernum's basically done, guys. I mean, I know a lot of people like to build Infernum. I like to build Infernum on Iggy, on heroes that are proccing it efficiently and hitting a lot of abilities. They say Morgesh and Twin Blast here as their examples. I think Infernum's pretty much done. They decreased the damage. They increased the physical power scaling from the damage, which will make up for that, so that's, you know, that's fine. It'll still hit hard, but the big thing is it no longer generates stacks against a target that is currently affected by the damage, so you're not just going to be able to stack up a ton of Cinder on them and have like super rapid fire procs hitting them. for damage, you know, especially if you have the pin to back it. It's just not gonna really be viable anymore for like the consistent burn damage that you like to build on like Iggy and some other heroes like Twin Blast and Morgesh. So I don't really see many people building Infernum. There may be some niche situations where you still want to use it, but it is what it is on that front. Mind Razor getting the power buffed up to 50 is pretty nice. It just kind of brings it more in line with some of the other big power assassin items. The physical power scaling decrease for its AoE damage isn't that big of a deal. Nightfall getting extra healing and extra shields from takedowns, you know. It's a slight buff, but it's probably not that significant. Omen with a price decrease. Tainted Trident I do like here, getting 5 extra ability haste. I already thought that this was a pretty strong item overall, so 5 extra ability haste isn't going to hurt it by any means. May see more people building it, but it's still kind of a niche item. All the assassin items are. And then Perforator, which was already extremely strong, just getting, you know, 1 extra flat pin. You know, great for everyone who realizes that you got to build percent pin. You know, you're building it anyway on all of your builds, I hope, that benefit from it, so extra pin, why not? The fighter tree, we've got augmentation, a little bit less damage from its passive, you know, and probably not that significant. Berserker's Axe, a little bit less blitz damage. Again, probably not that significant. These are all like minor changes, like the hero changes, these are all pretty minor. Draconum, nice little combo here with a cost decrease as well as a missing health healing increase. So pretty strong, I think. Draconum was already pretty strong, so if you're building something where you benefit from healing, Draconum is going to heal you even more. You know, those crazy Lifesteal Grux builds are going to like this one. But, you know, a slight buff. Earthshaker is getting shifted around a little bit. It's getting, it's losing some health, which is funny because they say 400 to 300, but it's already 350. So, like, I don't know if they didn't proofread these or what, but it gives you 350 right now. I mean, according to the main menu at least, and according to the builds in game. So, taking it down to 300, taking the attack speed down and adding some ability haste. You're still building Earthshaker for sure on the heroes that benefits from its passive. The new build recipe may help it too a little bit, getting the Warbow in the build. You can get your attack speed built earlier on certain heroes like Greystone Jungle. Probably likes this change overall. So Legacy cost decrease, Legacy's still not good. Mist Meadow Buckler. This one is getting shifted around quite a bit because it is losing the Omnivamp, which is pretty crazy because a lot of people were building this just for the sustain and the armor, of course. But it's now picking up ability haste, which is cool, and losing 5 power for 5 armor. So shift in Mist Meadow from more of an aggressive sustain item to more of a tanky item with 15 ability haste, I think is a good shift. Mist Meadow's still very strong, just a little bit different application now. You can't use it as like your sole sustain item if you were building like a very odd build where this was your only sustain item. You're going to have to build something else in its place, but really good magical armor value with its passive as well. So we'll see how that pans out. Coming into the mage tree, really minor changes across the board here. Azure Core, a little bit different scaling on the shield. Spirit of Amir, a little bit extra Monster Slayer damage bonus, so that's cool if you're building it early for the jungle purposes. Soulbinder. Soulbinder's getting some nice buffs here. I like the salvo damage increasing from 8 to a nice round 10, which is really nice, and also the activation range getting reduced by 50 units. Just makes the ergonomics of this item more valuable. You know, 2% extra damage is great when you're over, you know, a little bit shorter of a range, and you can get your stacks up easier. So may see this built on more heroes that were like kind of borderline if you're proccing it effectively, because now it's more valuable when you do proc it, and it's easier to proc. So like the Soulbinder change, probably will try building it more. First item, you know, you got to get it up first item essentially. and then Tainted Scepter getting a little bit of a damage reduction, but better scaling, so, you know, better late game damage from it. You know, Tainted Scepters was already a pretty decent item, so I don't think this changes it very much anyway. So now on to the support items. Generally, this is one of the more impactful of the items changes. The support items almost all got price reductions, which is really nice because the supports generally have a harder time getting gold online, so, and with the stacking of multiple of these items getting gold reduction like this, you know, it doesn't seem like 100 gold decrease on an item is a lot, but, you know, by your 4th item, you're talking about 400 less gold to get that 4th item online, so that is a pretty substantial boost up or boost into the earlier game that the support builds will be able to get their items online, so that is pretty impactful. We'll go through these, you know, Cresselia reduction, Crystal Tear reduction, Dawnstar reduction, a little bit less health, a little more mana regen, you know, not too much impactful stuff going on here. Dynamo, 5 extra armor, probably needed that with a reduction, so this was already a pretty strong item. I think this will be pretty strong on more like solo laners, more like bruiser type builds that are immobilizing a lot can probably get better value out of Dynamo than they could before. Everbloom, just 50 gold reduction. Frosted Lure, significant gold cost reduction, 150, but with the health reduction, so, you know, kind of balances out. Galaxy Greaves, gold reduction. Hexbound Bracers, gold reduction. A little bit more regen. So as you see, these again are mostly minor changes like the previous ones we looked at. Lunaria, gold reduction, a little bit better heal shield. This is good because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be building Lunaria on Zinx, so and I already like building it on Muriel, so good value here. You could build it on Narbash more and get good value out of it. Tainted Totem is one of the ones I like because we get 5 extra power and the gold reduction by 150, so I already thought this was a pretty decent anti-heal item as far as anti-heal items go, because it procs on any damage dealt, not just abilities or autos. And then when you heal or shield, it gives your teammates that as well. So I'm thinking Muriel and Narbash and Zinx, this is probably a must build now for anti-heal purposes, because you can proc it on everybody super easy and spread it around super easy. So True Silver, you know, gold reduction. Vanguardian, gold cost reduction, but I still don't think this is a very highly valuable item. I was hoping to see some sort of buff to this to make it more, you know, attractive of a build item. Windcaller, gold reduction. Magical power increase. You know, again, you're probably building this on Narbash for sure, maybe Zinx, but and Muriel, but just slightly more attractive with that extra power number. And finally, we get down here to the tank items. This is the last bit here. This is pretty impactful too. I like both of these changes. I would have already rated Fire Blossom and Void Helm as pretty strong items, but now they're getting buffed. So I don't know why, but Fire Blossom, Heatwave damage bonus, scaling of health, it goes up a little bit more. That's pretty good. It's not a significant increase, but like I said, Fire Blossom was already a strong item, so. And then Void Helm, getting 5 extra magical armor. I already really liked Void Helm as an option for your magical armor because it gives you health, and you're probably healing on most heroes, so, you know, great combination there with the Draconum buff as well. So that's all of the hero and item changes. Like I said, mostly minor changes, very small shifts and adjustments through these. Just a couple that I want to highlight as potential meta changers. First off, of course, just in conclusion here, Zinx. You know, here's Zinx again. Again, check out this Zinx overview video if you haven't seen it already. I'll put the link in the description. It's a good video. It's kind of a decent, let's see if it says how long it is here. I'm pretty sure it's like, yeah, so it's 4.5 minutes. So check that one out. It's got a lot of gameplay clips in it of Zinx. You know what to expect of her if you know, are contemplating if you want to spend the Amber on her right off the bat. But Zinx, I would assume that she's going to be strong coming in because, like I said, they want to release heroes at a stronger point and then nerf them back versus release them at a weak point and buff them up, just so that it builds hype for the new hero and brings players into the game and you know, coerces players into buying the new hero, so hard to say how she'll affect the meta, but will have an impact most likely. Looks like a pretty strong hero and nice to have an extra healer. A lot of map changes, like I said. Heroes-wise, I think the only ones that are really impactful are this Aurora nerf. You know, a lot less damage on the ult and a lot longer cooldown on the ice wall because the cooldown timer doesn't start until the ice wall drops. So Aurora will still be oppressive and she will still be strong, probably in both lane and jungle, but much needed nerf to her. They may... I mean, I didn't think these were the most overpowered parts of her kit, but this does make her overall kit weaker. Next up, other impactful one. The gadget damage reduction is somewhat impactful, but it's not one of the top ones I wanted to talk about. I would say Chimera is one of the ones I want to talk about. I think we're going to be seeing... I mean, I feel like Chimera was already strong, and giving him more survivability late game, shorter cooldowns, better healing off of his cleanse, you know, without having to really sacrifice any early game, I think his is still going to be a consistently strong jungle pick. And he's so easy to play too that you're probably still going to see him a lot, or even more than you're seeing him now, but you're probably seeing him in a lot of games as it is. So look for more Chimera. We're going to do some testing and see how this actually feels. You know, it's only a couple seconds off the cooldowns, but it's only a couple more points of health and armor by the end of the game, so may not be a big shift, but, you know, on a hero that's already strong, any shift up is like, you know, kind of odd that they're doing that in the first place. And then finally, the only other hero change that's really impactful is Terra. Terra needed nerfs. She's been getting nerfs every patch since she came out, but she needed some more. Wild Rush was just, you know, wildly overpowered, you could say, with how much damage and shield it provides. So doing significantly less damage. I mean, look at these, you know, 20 less damage at level 1, up to 60 less damage at max, and then, you know, 5% less scaling if you just tap the button, and then 25% less scaling if you charge it with increased mana and shorter shield. This is a massive nerf to Wild Rush, but it really needed it. Like I said before, check out the spreadsheet video I did on maximizing the damage of Wild Rush. All of those builds for maximizing the damage will still be applicable, just the numbers will be smaller because she got nerfed. So the builds that maximize the damage on it before will still maximize the damage on it now. It's just the numbers will be a little bit smaller. So, you know, that's the hero changes that I think that are really applicable or potentially shifting the meta. Items wise, not, like I said, most of these are minor, just some cooldown changes and whatnot, some minor price changes. I think one of the only meta shifting ones potentially is the Ashbringer Nuclear Rounds Resolution 3 item combo for ability carries. Ability carries haven't really been in a good place, you know, strength-wise. There's only a couple of them that you're really building like ability-based items on, like Twin Blast and Drongo, and maybe some other ones if you like Revenant, but Revenant's kind of a weird case. So mainly Twin Blast and Drongo that I can think of. You know, we'll see how this Ashbringer Nuclear Rounds Resolution combo comes out. You know, at the end of the day, if you build all three of them, you're looking at, you know, around 15 more attack speed than you got before, for, you know, and 10-ish more ability haste, I guess, because this is a 10 reduction. This is so only 5 more ability haste, and then 20 less power, you know, for 100 less total gold. That doesn't really seem like a good trade-off. I liked Nuclear Rounds the way it was before, getting a attack speed item in on your ability carry builds, but it looks like Ashbringer is trying to fill that spot. I don't know how this whole combo is going to work out, but that's something to keep an eye out for. We'll do an update on that when we discuss the tier list more here in the next week or so. But look out for ability carries trying out these combos. Resolution in general being a higher value, I expect to see it on most, if not all, carry builds now, because why would you not build it? It gives you such good stat value. It already had good stat value before 5 extra attack speed, so I like that. The only other big like changes as far as items is like Infernum you're not building anymore. That's not really a big change though. I think one that we do need to look out for is the Draconum combination with Void Helm. Look at Draconum again real quick, because they upped the missing health healing and reduced the cost. So comboing that with down here the Void Helm, getting 5 extra armor, I mean, healing builds are definitely building both of those, and I think that's a really strong combo after this buff. So we'll see if that becomes more popular. And then biggest effect probably from all the item changes is the support items being cost decreased. So, you know, cheaper support items means the supports are going to get online sooner, have more impact in the mid game to late game, and like I said, that gold cost is going to stack up. So if you do get to the late game where you have 6 items built, that's 600-ish less gold. On most of these, it's like 100. So some of them it's 50, some of them it's 150. So 600-ish less gold required to get to full build on supports is going to make a difference. We'll see how big of a difference that makes, but I can guarantee it makes a difference because, you know, the supports can win you games. Supports are one of the more impactful roles in my opinion. If it's a good support, he can win you the game. If it's a bad support, he can lose you the game. So the people who are good with support, getting their 6 items up at, you know, 600 gold earlier is really nice. It probably will make most supports, I would say, stronger relative to the other roles. So we'll see how that balances out. That's probably one of the most impactful changes of this patch as far as the meta is concerned. And then finally, well, a little minor one, Soulbinder. I think Soulbinder needs to get built more after this patch. They give the examples here of Howitzer, Grim, Gadget, but I think with it being reduced to 1450, probably even more heroes can get good procs out of that. I'm thinking Iggy. I'm thinking Faye could probably stack it up decently. There's probably some more too that can really benefit from Soulbinder now, so we'll see if that gets built more. 10% extra damage on abilities over that distance is pretty strong, I would say, in general, especially on somebody like Howitzer. Is very strong. Or Gadget, where her sticky mines are going to hit hard, even though she got nerfed a little bit, so we'll see. That's all I wanted to talk about. I know it kind of went a little longer than I would like, but wanted to talk about the meta shifts. I'm sure you can find Pinzo or By the Papayas video where they probably go into more detail, or I mean, I've already seen them, so I know they go into more detail about some of this other stuff, like the UI changes and the map adjustments and all this other stuff. I encourage you to just, oh yeah, this little draft screen, you know, the new draft screen, so you can more clearly see who you're playing against and stuff like that. But definitely go and read these patch notes for yourself, look through them to the parts that you're interested in. If you want to see the skins, come check out the skins. You know, they do look good. There is some cool stuff going on in the skins department, but I'm not really too worried about them. I will link these whole patch notes, these whole 1.0 patch notes in the description as well. So go check these out. Like I said at the beginning too, check out the version 0.19.1 updated tier list that we did for the heroes. That was a while ago, a couple weeks ago now. You can just kind of get an idea of where the meta was prior to this patch. And this patch is so minor, I assume that the meta is still going to be around that, you know, a CC-based type meta. But like I said, we'll wait and see in a couple weeks or about a week and see how the meta is actually shifted. And also check out the 100 subscriber special item tier list if you're interested in that. It was over 2 hours long, but you can go through there and hear a couple sentences about, you know, what makes each item strong, how they compare to other items, in my opinion. So both of those will help you out understanding where the meta was. We're moving on here into version 1.0. We'll know in about a week how the meta has kind of panned out and shifted out. And now ranked is open more, so we'll get to see a lot more ranked gameplay going. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you're enjoying. Glad to see all the new players making it to the version 1.0 full release. And glad to see a meta finally kicking off the full launch of this game and really getting the marketing underway and whatnot. We're about to have a lot of fun on this 1.0 patch. So look for some more spreadsheet videos coming soon. We've got a Fang Mao spreadsheet video that's about to come out, so if you're a Fang Mao player, you can check out that spreadsheet. It's mainly based on how to maximize his execute, but you know, got some more fun stuff coming out. I got a surprise video for y'all tomorrow as well that I think you'll like. It's a little different, queuing with 2 other guys, so haven't put up any videos yet of me queuing with friends, but got one for you tomorrow, so look for that one. And we will catch y'all here soon with some more exciting information about this 1.0 patch once we get into it more. So thanks for watching. We will see y'all on the next one.